World's Your Oyster.
What's up, everybody? You're listening to World's Your Oyster, and I'm your host, Paula Sanders, here to empower the dreamers and the doers. Whether you're looking for inspiration, motivation, or just need a little hot, rich anti-pep talk, then you are in the right place, because every week I am sitting down with some of New York City's biggest, boldest, and brightest lights to remind you that the world is truly your oyster. So let's dive right in. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with the incredible Raeann Langas. Raeann is not only a curve model and a podcast host, but also a body positivity advocate and the founder of Confident Collective, a community that empowers women to embrace their confidence and foster meaningful connections. I am so excited to dive into her journey of building a platform that inspires so many people, especially women who may feel overlooked in a world that is often dominated by traditional beauty standards. As someone who identifies as petite and has struggled with confidence and body dysmorphia, I am really excited to have this conversation with Raeann and get some of her insights, her tips and tricks on how to feel your best, most confident and sexy self. So let's welcome Raeann to the podcast. There we go. Okay. Raeann.
Hi.
Welcome to World's Your Oyster.
Oh my God. I love the name of your podcast.
Thank you. You know, it happened by accident, to be honest with you.
How did it happen?
So I was coming over the show and I was doing all these things and ruminating on it, and I was doing elevator pitches. Okay. And at the end of the elevator pitch, I always kept saying, because the world's your oyster. And the show was going to be called World's Your Oyster, but World's Your Oyster was taken. And thank God, because honestly, lame.
Honestly, World's Your Oyster it just rolls off the tongue so much better.
And it's so funny because we were recording the first episode and we were calling it World's Your Oyster, but both myself and at the time I had the show with a friend, we both have Long Island accents and we were saying oyster. Anyway.
So it was just meant to be.
It was meant to be.
Oh my God.
And so I'm so happy that World's Your Oyster was taken on Instagram and all of that stuff, because I've become the oyster girl.
Yeah.
And
oyster girl.
It's
I love
me. You know, so for so many years I was kind of ashamed to be from Long Island. When I moved into the big city and moved into this fancy world, and I wanted to act like everybody else, and I was trying to hide my accent. And then what I realized is that is the core of who I am.
Yeah.
Why would I ever want to make that not a part of me? Yeah. And it's also what makes me special.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't go to a prep school or an Ivy League college or any of these things. I am just from Long Island at the end of the day. I somehow made it happen. That's why the world's your oyster.
Yeah. I love that. No, I love that. Girl, I'm from Colorado. I didn't, nothing fancy either. We just need to embrace where we're all from.
Where we're all from and who we are, which is what you do so well and so beautiful. And why I wanted to have you on this show, because we met at an event, as most girlies in New York City do, and you just have this incredible energy. And I was like, I have to know more about this girl. And then I started listening to your podcast and following you on Instagram. And I'm just like, I wish that growing up I had somebody like you in my life. Even though I present as a small person, as petite, I have always had bigger hips and a bigger, I'm what they call voluptuous, for a small person. And it was something that I always looked at as negative, and I didn't have the confidence that you have. And I wish that I had somebody like you to look up to when I was young. And that's why I think the internet is such an incredible thing, because, girls that are younger have people like you to look up to. So what you're doing is so beautiful.
Oh my God. Well, thank you so much. And I feel honestly, when I met you at the event too, I was like, oh, you have the best energy. You're so outgoing. You're so welcoming. And yeah, you just have the best energy as well. So the feelings were very mutual. And thanks for having me, and thanks for asking me to be on the podcast. Yeah. I'm so excited.
Well, I want to dive into your journey because the content's fire.
Thank you.
But I know it takes a long time to get there. So how did you kind of start? And was it always from this place of confidence and body positivity, or did you kind of evolve into that voice?
Honestly, it really kind of was always there from the beginning of my content journey, like because I started it when I was in college. So this was like 10 years ago. And I followed all of these bloggers like Song of Style, Sincerely Jules, like Gal Meets Glam, all of these girls. And I worked at Better Homes and Gardens as an fashion intern at the time. And I was like just in charge of the Pinterest program and like seeing all of these like bloggers is what they were at the time. Yep. And I loved their style, but I never would know what something they were sharing would like look on my body type because I'm 5'11" and curvy and I was like, what would this look like? And so I was like, I feel like I need to just start something and show what these trends and like clothes will look like on a body type like mine. Because also when I was like online shopping for things, I would go to the like brand's Instagram and then go to their like tagged photos and see if I could find any girl who was wearing like, let's say the dress I wanted to buy and see what it looked like on my body. Because literally 10 years ago, curve models were like just starting to become a thing. Like you could not see what a dress would look like on anything besides like the size 2 model. Yep. So from the beginning, I've always weaved in being size inclusive and weaved in my size and just kind of owning that and being confident in your body from the beginning of when I started content.
So you started with a blog, right?
Yeah.
First,
I started with a
old
blog
school?
that was called Styled and Free, I'm pretty sure, which is so funny.
I had one called Jacked and Gorge, by the way.
Wait, I love that. Like honestly, the blog names were so crazy.
Unhinged.
Like unhinged. But yeah, so I started with a blog and then after I graduated college, I took an Instagram course from this blogger who I can't even remember her name now, but she was like kind of a big deal. Back then in like the course world. Yeah. And I took an Instagram course and then just started Instagram, and that's really where it kind of like started to really grow and take off.
Do you remember any of the things that you learned in that Instagram course, and do you use them to this day?
No, none of them are relevant today. Like it was really about like the aesthetic. Like this was when Instagram was like very white, very curated, very like planning your grid, which honestly now, like I feel like I still care a little bit too much about how my Instagram looks like. And I do feel like it's holding me back because truly, I really don't think that matters anymore. Like it really doesn't. So no, I don't think the tips would be relevant today at all.
I think for a smaller creator, it actually does matter a little bit what your grid looks like, because you have brands that are looking in on you and like considering, do we do this partnership or not? But I feel like once you've hit kind of a critical mass and people know who you are and they just look and they see 200,000 followers or whatever, they're just like, we don't really give a shit. It's what's happening below the bio.
Yeah, I think it's like every brand is looking for something different too. Like some brands are more wanting that like content, like aesthetic content, and then more brands are maybe really looking for like ROI or whatever it is, and there's different creators for different things. But yeah, it's a whole different world than when I took this course 10 years ago.
Yeah. So when you got on Instagram, so this is probably 10 years ago at this point?
I think.
So when does the growth start? Because you have a massive following on Instagram and even bigger following on TikTok, right?
Yeah.
So when does this growth really begin?
Honestly, for me, like even to this day, it's been like a very slow and steady growth, which I'm actually really grateful for. Obviously, everyone kind of wants to like be, would love to like blow up. But I feel like because I've been able to be slow and steady, I've really been able to like grow my audience and really establish a strong relationship with my audience as well. So I would say the growth really started to happen in like 2020, which this is very woo-woo of me, but I was in a long-term relationship for like 10 years. And when we broke up, my business literally did a 180. Like I started making money, getting brand deals, got signed to my first agency, all this stuff. So I really feel like energetically getting out of that relationship spurred my career growth. So it was kind of like 2019-ish is when it kind of started to really take off.
You were glowing different. Did you have do you think that it was that you had like the mental capacity and space to reach out to brands, or were the brand deals just coming to you after that breakup?
A little bit of both. And I think like spiritually, I'm like a little, like I said, a little woo-woo. Like I just think energetically I was like blocked. Like I had no space for the universe to give me anything else.
Yeah.
So
what were you doing at that time? What were your woo-woo practices?
Oh
I'm
my
a woo-woo girl as well.
Oh my God. Honestly, I need to get back into it. Like I haven't been on my woo-woo shit as I should be. But I was living in LA. So I was like really learning a lot about astrology and all of that stuff. I discovered Gabby Bernstein, who I still love.
Yes.
Was reading her book. Also this course called To Be Magnetic, which is a manifestation course by a woman named Lacey Phillips.
Yeah,
who's
I've heard of
amazing.
this.
Yeah, so like all of that stuff.
Yeah.
I love it.
Me too.
Yeah,
Me
so
too.
great.
Witchy stuff. It's
I
like my
know.
favorite.
I know.
I'm always doing the most. Have you ever done the Artist Way journal?
No, wait. Okay, this is so funny because my friend who I was with last night, actually, she has like we have been trying to do this together for so long, and we just keep slacking, and like the books have just been sitting in our apartments. I'm like, we really need to do it. Did you do it?
I did it. I did
You
it.
liked
and
it?
I love it.
Okay.
I love it. It's a real commitment because you have to.
It's like
you have
like
3 days
assignments, right?
Yes, and it's 3 pages a day, right in the morning as soon as you wake up.
Okay.
And 3 pages is a lot, but it is crazy. What comes out.
Really?
It's just crazy.
Okay, you're inspiring
It
me.
is like all of a sudden you're talking about, and I'm not like, I really try not to like open the doors to my childhood. Like, not that I had a bad childhood, I had a great childhood, but like there are some things that I would just
Totally.
care to not remember. But like, and I also even like through talk therapy, I kind of like still shut those doors and like it'll give you some assignment, and then all of a sudden you're like writing about your childhood, and you're like, whoa, I that's not what I thought I was going to get into today. But it's like it really is so incredible, and in the time span, I think it's 30 or 32 weeks or something like that you do the. Maybe it's 15. I don't know.
32 weeks?
I don't think it's 32 weeks because there's
like,
only
damn.
52 in the year. I think it's 15. 15 weeks. I came up with like 2 different business ideas, came up with a whole plan.
This is inspiring. Like, okay, I'm going to do it.
It's worth the time and worth the energy. So speaking of your content, because I feel like obviously that's such a huge part of what you do, like how do you A, find the inspiration, and B, schedule your time?
Ooh, that's a good question. I feel like, it is hard because where content is now, it's like you do have to like know what's going on. Like you need to know like what sounds are trending and what type of videos are trending. And I do feel like it's hard to be like creative and original. Sometimes like I feel like I'm like, oh my God, like can I have an original idea? Like I'm like creatively stifled because I'm just taking in so much. So really for me, like I'm really inspired by everything is kind of like weaved in through like fashion is for me, like, and I really am inspired by like, okay, what am I feeling? Like when I am trying to find jeans for the fall, like jeans that fit curvy girls, jeans that fit tall girls, like what does this straight leg pair or this kind of style jean, what does that look like on a curvy girl? So it's really my video ideas and like the content that I'm creating, really all of the common thread is like trying to help women like find clothes that make them feel good and make them feel confident. And then also weaving in like those trends and those kind of things. And then just like fun personality stuff, because the more people like know you, the more they trust you. And it's like a weird thing because like obviously the more you share about your life, like the more people trust you and the more they feel connected to you. And then from a business standpoint, like the more likely they're going to like engage when you have ads and like buy things and and you know, that's like it is a business. So it's all very like intertwined.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you ever get exhausted?
Oh my God, yes. Literally like all the time. I'm like, I say I'm like a sleepy girl. Like, I don't know if you're into human design.
Yes.
Are you? Well,
yeah.
What's your human
generator?
Oh, see? Oh my God, I'm a projector.
Okay.
So like we need rest.
Yeah.
We need I'm not the doer, which I'm kind of like in the doer. I am like the doer, but no, I do.
Well, you have to be a doer. You work for yourself, you know, like ultimately at the end of the day, the content needs to get made.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you know, there might not be food on the table. I don't know.
Right. So, but like it is, I'm very grateful that like I have been able to make a career out of things that I like to do and things that I love and like have the freedom and the autonomy of my time that I do. Like that is truly as someone who gets exhausted, like I'm on my own time. So like I can make it work for my schedule and it's so nice. I'm so grateful for that.
Yeah. And now I have noticed there's a new beautiful man in your life.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And from what I understand, you know, you had like your single girl times in LA and then you kind of you manifested this person into your life. And he seems to have just worked so well into your content.
Oh my gosh.
So how did you, get him to like agree to do all of this stuff with you?
Yeah. So how we met was he popped up on my TikTok.
Oh,
so he was
okay.
already creating content.
Okay.
So he already kind of like
He got it.
He gets it.
Yeah.
So that's how we met. And he came up on my TikTok, and it's so funny how you said I manifested him, because I 100% did. Like, he is exactly what I've described for like the last 5 years of being single, like to a T.
What are those things?
Well, tall. Like, I always said I wanted a guy who like paints his nails and like is into fashion and like wore jewelry, and he's loves wearing jewelry and it's very into fashion and all of the things. But then also he just is like obsessed with me, which I also was like, I just need someone to be obsessed with me. Is that like too much to ask? And he's obsessed with me and I'm obsessed with him, and like we just love being around each other. And your question was, how did I get him to be so like in the content? He just likes doing it. Like, it's true. It was funny because when I was dating, I was like, no, I don't think I want to date someone who has social media, because I was kind of like, oh, that's for the girls. Like, I don't really want a guy who's into social media. And I could not be more wrong, because now it's like, I'm sure many girls know, like having to like beg your partner to like, oh, will you take this picture for me? And then it's like, oh, and then it's like, that ruins it. It's like, it's not me wanting to have like a cute picture of myself ruining it. It's like your attitude about it.
Right.
So I'm like, he literally will take the photos, get the shot. Like, I take his photos, and like we just have fun. Like, our ideal day. Like, yesterday we went and like got coffees and like made TikToks and went to breakfast and like it was so much fun.
So fun.
It's so fun. So it's really honestly like been so easy to just incorporate.
Yeah, I have to like bribe my husband in order for him to take a photo of me. Like, it's insane.
I mean, and like, I get it. It's not everyone's going to be into it, which I totally understand.
I just hire a photographer most of the time now. I'm like, if I'm like getting dressed by the brand, I'm just like, I hire a photographer, because he literally will not take, and when he does, he's looking the other way.
He's like, oh
completely not into it. I'm like,
you're like, come on, can you do it with some passion?
Yeah, and you're killing my vibe now also. Like, and now I'm just annoyed.
Well, that's okay. You can have, it doesn't always have to be entertaining.
He's wonderful in other ways. It's just the photos, babe. I mean, come on. Like, it's getting ridiculous. Even last night I had to beg, but he's getting better.
God.
He's getting better.
Good.
It's a journey.
It's a journey. It is.
Well, I love that. And he seems to have just like eased so seamlessly into your content. And did you feel that like your community feels even closer to you now that you have someone that you're constantly creating with, or like, are they on this journey with you in your relationship, or is it?
Yeah, I think like, well, I talked a lot about dating as a curvy woman. Okay. And a lot of my followers were also like single and dating. And I think that was like a really needed like community, just to bring up some things of like that dating as like a curvy woman that's like just different than like thin women don't think about.
Right.
So it's kind of like we went on this journey together. And then I think everyone's been like so happy, and like also like for me, when I was single, I had on my friend Lily on our podcast, actually. Her Instagram is Date Brazen. She has like an amazing book about dating, and she's a dating coach. And she was like, every time you see something that you want in a relationship, like say, thank you more, please. And like even if it's like movies or couples you follow on social media that like have what you want to have, like save that, because it makes you see that like it's possible, right? So I feel like for me, as I talked about like struggling with dating and my confidence and my size, and then finding a man who literally loves me and embraces everything about me, is really important for other curvy women to see that they can have that and they deserve that as well.
Yeah.
So
what were some of those struggles that you were encountering when you were dating, and how did you overcome those?
I mean, you think about like our world in general can be very fat phobic. And I think women have come a long way in accepting our bodies and like learning to love ourselves. And I think men haven't maybe done like as much, work around that. And I mean, even like when I watch old movies and stuff, it's like there's so many things like, oh, don't set me up with a fat friend. Or like right. Men have also been trained that like fat women aren't desirable or like attractive. And so I think for me, it was hard because I was so confident and so sure of myself in every single way except for dating. And I've talked to a lot of curvy women, and they can be killing it in their careers, feeling good in every single way in their life. And they're like, no, dating is the one place where I really struggle with my confidence. And
just wondering if they think that you're attractive or sexy.
Yeah, it's like,
or will they want to go out with me? Like,
yeah, or like, I think a lot of the things curvy women deal with dating is like, one, being fetishized, two, being like, oh, guys want to sleep with you, but they don't want to date you. You know, they're just not being approached as much as like thin women, things like that are just, the curvy women have to deal with that, thin women don't. And how did I overcome that? Honestly, I just was like, no, I'm confident. I am sexy. Like, I'm hot. Like, I know this. And like really radiating, putting that energy out there. And if a guy doesn't like that, then like, okay, whatever, like his loss. There are so many men out there that do find curvy women attractive and will love you and embrace you for your size. So
I love that. And it's just, for me, like I said, I was a dancer. So I grew up in the dance school, and like, I'll never forget, I was probably 12 years old, and my dad actually owns my dance school that I danced at. So my dad's in the dance world, and you know, I was taking my ballet class, and I always had this insecurity because my thighs always touch. And I was actually, like, in my teen years, I was chubbier, like much more chubby than I am now. And I remember I got in the car with my dad, and I was like, Dad, I just don't understand, like, how come nobody else's thighs touch? Like, why is it only my thighs that touch? And it was the one time he gave me grace, and he was like, well, Paula, it's because you're Puerto Rican and your thighs are always going to touch. And it was something that kind of stayed with me for forever, but it was something that I never gave myself grace for. Yeah. And I always, even to this day, like, I'm so insecure about my legs. And even though so many people have come up to me and to tell me, oh my God, you have the most incredible, beautiful ass that I've ever seen.
Literally.
Like, but for me, I'm like, I don't know. It's my biggest insecurity. And it's just so sad because I was so used to being in the dance school with these girls that had these little toothpick legs. And it was just difficult. It was always difficult for me to put on the tights, you know, and like, now I'm finally, because now I'm married and I'm with someone who, you know, like you, is obsessed with me and every ounce of my body. Doesn't matter if I gain weight, lose weight. I am just now finally like stepping into my power and feeling confident and sexy for the first time in my life. And I'm 37.
I love that. It's never too late. And honestly, I feel like too, as like we get older, like you just like give less fucks. I'm allowed to say that. Sorry.
Yeah, of course.
You're like, you just give less fucks, and like you just start to embrace yourself and realize like you are amazing, and you don't need to fit into like this thing that you saw growing up. You were surrounded by dancers who looked a certain way, and like just because that's what you were taught was beautiful, like you have to re-teach yourself that that's not true, and like rework your beliefs around yourself. So I think that's amazing.
How were your parents growing up? Because it seems that you've always been like super grounded and confident, even though you said you had the insecurities in dating. Like, how were you raised? How did they make you feel beautiful?
So I have two sisters. So there's three sisters, three of us, and I'm the shortest of them, and I'm 5'11". Like when I tell people that, they're like, "What?" So like, and my older sister's curvy. My younger sister is literally a twig. She's like 6'1" and a twig. Like literally doesn't know what Spanx are. She's like, she one time asked me. I was like, she's like, "What is that?" And I'm like, "Get away from me right now." I'm like, "You've got to be kidding me." But anyway. I grew up like just always being in like a big family. My dad is like 6'4". My uncle was like 6'7". And my parents never necessarily taught us like affirmations or anything like we kind of see now. But I remember once like my dad, I was like crying about something in high school. I was like, no guys like me. No one likes me. Like I'm just like huge and blah, blah, blah. And my dad was like, no, like you're an Amazonian woman. Like you need to embrace it. And at the time I was like, I don't want to be an Amazonian woman. But now I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, like hell yeah. Like that's like, that's amazing. Like I'm like, I look at women like Alona Mar, who's on, she was the USA rugby player and on Dancing with the Stars. And she's really, I think, like advocating for like just embracing being a woman that doesn't typically fit what we think is like the beauty standard, right? But I'm going on a rant now. But my parents didn't really like. They just kind of encouraged us to, try new things and like feel like good in ourselves, but it wasn't ever like you need to be confident. It just kind of was like an underlying thing, I think.
Yeah. Hey, my pearls, did you know that electrolytes, creatine, and collagen are the ultimate hack for looking and feeling amazing? That's why I am so excited that we have partnered up with Harlow. Harlow is a fab 3-in-1 performance-enhancing drink that is packed with natural electrolytes for hydration, collagen for radiant skin and joint support, and creatine to fuel your muscles and boost your cognitive function. Plus, it's sugar-free, gluten-free, and it tastes amazing. So I know what you're thinking. Creatine? Really? Yes, really. As women, we often overlook or are scared of creatine, but it's crucial for boosting our energy and endurance. It also plays a vital role in muscle recovery and helps maintain our overall strength as we age. As a woman juggling a full-time job, a podcast, and a million things in between, I do not have time to waste feeling tired, sore, or not at 100%. And that's why I never miss a day. And I can genuinely say that Harlow makes a difference. Whether I'm sipping it after solid core or enjoying it as a pick-me-up during a busy afternoon, Harlow keeps me hydrated, glowing, and ready to tackle whatever the day brings my way. To hydrate and elevate your wellness with me, visit www.drinkharlow.com and use the code Oysta20 for 20% off of your first order. That's www.drinkharlow.com and use the code Oysta20 at checkout for 20% off. This episode is brought to you by Stellar,
a global marketplace where you can buy and sell exclusive assets with just a few taps. I'm Ella, your new best friend, and I'm here to show you around. When you first open the app, you'll land on the Discovery feed. Up top, there's our search bar. Use it to hunt down your dream experiences. And if you need to narrow it down, our filter feature has got your back. While scrolling through the Discovery feed, if you see something you like, tap on a listing for more details. Need a hand? Just look for me, and I'll be right here to assist you. Thanks for joining us on Stellar. We can't wait to see what you discover.
I'm sure your DMs are probably always on fire with girlies like wanting dating advice or maybe living in some insecurity about their bodies, whether it be through dating or just life in general. Like, how do you handle that responsibility?
Yeah, I don't really think about it as like a responsibility. Like, I think that's kind of why I started my other brand, The Confident Collective, with my friend Christina, because I would get so many DMs like, how are you so confident? How do you do this? Like, how do I approach this? And it was just like, yeah, you can't answer in a DM, right? Like, there is so much more to being a confident woman. And so we started this, we actually started it as doing monthly fitness events in LA, because movement has always been so important to me and like feeling good in my body. But like going to a new gym is so intimidating, like especially if you're like a bigger girl, like that's terrifying. So we wanted to create like safe spaces where women could come, meet new friends and move their body. Yeah. And then it's evolved into a podcast and we do other events and things like that. That's kind of what brings me the most joy, is like helping women find their confidence, whether it is answering a DM or having them come to one of our events and leave feeling like they can wear the bikini and they made new friends. And yeah, that's like my favorite part of my entire job.
I love that. And when did you start Confident Collective?
Like 2019.
Wow. Okay. So right before the pandemic, and you're still going strong. So run me through an event, because I saw your last event on Instagram and I was just like, damn, like it looks so fun. And it's just like, even like I said, I have all sorts of body dysmorphia. Like I know you're probably looking at me like, bitch, shut up. But like, no, I really like, I have always struggled with my body image and I've just always felt bigger than what I actually appear to be. And I hate wearing a bathing suit. Now I love it because I'm in love and I have somebody that loves me and loves every inch of my body. But I have stretch marks. I've had stretch marks since I'm 12 years old, like I always have. And that growing up with, like going to the beach in high school for me was pure torture. Like I was so insecure to show my legs that had stretch marks on them. And it was like so embarrassing to me. And now I just think about how stupid that was, like how perky my ass must have been. And I was hiding it. Yeah. I was wearing like sarongs and all of these things. And, I just like, I saw that video and I was just like, damn, I wish that I could have went to a party like that. Honestly. And just let it all hang out and just been like, this is my body. This is my smallest bathing suit. I think that's also the key too. Smaller bathing suits I feel better in than like when I used to try to like put on either a one piece or like a hot, like I look horrible in those. Put me in the string, get my ass in a thong and I look great. Yeah, no, I'm like, girls, like stop trying to do like, do whatever makes you feel better. But I'm like, girls, like big girls, do not be afraid to wear the teeny tiny bikini because it just looks better. It really does. Because then people are like, oh, she doesn't give a fuck. Like she's confident and not as so like attractive in itself. Yeah. But yeah, our events, like we do a pool party every summer in LA. Hopefully we'll do one maybe on the East Coast next summer. But we saw like leading up to summer, there's so much messaging around like you need to lose weight. You need to get shredded for summer, bikini body ready, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so stupid. It's so exhausting. I put so much pressure on women. So we wanted to create an event where people could just come,
wear a swimsuit, wear whatever they want, meet new friends, feel completely free in their body, and just like have a fun afternoon and kick off summer feeling really good about yourself. And it's like some girls, this is how they described it. It was like, you know, when you're in the bathroom at a club and every girl is like hyping you up and you become best friends.
Yeah, you're a little tipsy. Like, you're like, girl,
yes.
you're so beautiful. I'm going to love the outfit. Like,
yes.
We should exchange Instagrams.
Yes, that is like the whole energy of the party.
Yes.
And then we have our Friendsgiving dinner coming up in November.
Oh, cute.
So that one's a more intimate event where
will that one be?
It's actually going to be at Hotel Chelsea. I'm not sure when this podcast episode is coming out, but we're announcing the ticket sales and stuff next week. So
okay.
Yeah, it's going to be really fun. It's a more intimate dinner, just like going into the holiday season. Like I feel not everyone has, you know, a big group of friends where they can have a Friendsgiving dinner, or maybe they don't get to go see their family. And this is just a dinner that they can come to, have amazing food, get dressed up, take hot pictures, and like hang out with other women in New York. So it's going to be so fun. I'm excited.
Yay, I love that. And the pod, when did you start the pod?
We actually started the podcast in 2020.
So around the same time.
Around the same time. We started the podcast when like COVID happened. We were like, well, we can't be doing events and stuff anymore. And we knew we wanted to start it, but that kind of just like gave us the kick in the butt to do it. So yeah, we've been doing it since 2020, which is so crazy.
I really love the show because it's just it's interesting topics. It's not topics that you hear on everybody else's podcast. And I think that it's having a podcast is hard, especially when you have 9 billion other things to do, as I'm sure the both of you do. And I know your partner like has one child or two.
She has 2 kids.
2 kids. And she lives in California,
in
right?
New Jersey.
Oh, in New Jersey.
Yeah. So she's not
California.
too far. She used to live in California as well, but she moved back to New Jersey. So yeah, it's like, it's a lot.
And how has that partnership been? Like having because I know that you two go to like you're almost like a couple in a way, you know, like I know that you go to a lot of events together. So like, how has it been to kind of like have a sidekick in all of this?
I mean, it's so nice to have someone who like, obviously in our industry, you're just kind of doing things on your own, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't have coworkers, you don't have like
it's incredibly lonely,
right? Like you don't have anyone. So it's nice to like have someone to like talk to about whatever the business side of things, creative side of things. It's so fun to have someone to like go to events with. You know, it's just like it is nice to have someone like that you can go to and like have navigate this like world with, you know?
Yeah, because it's like sometimes going to these events is not easy, you know? It's like a lot of pressure.
Right. And
especially when you're starting out too, like when you're starting to get into it. You just started getting invited to things, like nobody's running over to you with the camera right away, but like you really want the photo.
Yeah. Oh my God. When I first started going to events, like you just have to introduce yourself to everybody, like just go take pictures, like, and now I'm sure, you know, it's like you go to events and you recognize people and it's like, it's fun. Like you feel like you're like, oh wait, this is like kind of like your coworkers.
Well, my hot tip is always make friends with the photographers. Like always say hi to them, get their names, like act really interested in them. Because then the next time they see you, like A, you're going to be more confident when they come around to take your picture, because sometimes that shit can be scary when they come to you with those cameras. And B, like they're going to come up to you, you know, like, and you'll get your photo. Yeah. Like it's a little cheat code for my girlies that like don't have the 200,000 followers. Make friends with photographers. Like
there you go.
It's true, but it's hard. And I feel that not a lot of people talk about, you know, just how lonely all of the content creation can be. And like, the other part too is that like you get to go to all these events, which are fun, you know, some are fun, some are, but you know, you have that pressure to like create something that looks incredible for the brand. So like, how do you kind of manage going to these events, still having fun, still being in the moment, but like also getting the content that you need to get out of it?
Oh, see, I really feel like I don't have any pressure to do that. Like, I really just feel like, with especially when it comes to events, like, I'm like, unless I have like a contracted thing, like, I really don't put pressure on myself to like get anything. Like, if I'm vibing and like, it's like cool, like great, I get some content, amazing. But I really don't like, I don't know, maybe that's not a good thing, but I'm just like, meh.
You know what it is? I think it's like because I think I'm a little bit older than you. So I'm 37. So a lot of my friends are like in that age bracket of like 35 to 40. And they were like original OG content creators where like the pressure just seems like off the charts. I don't know why for some reason. Now most of them are like they don't really care as much anymore. But I remember like a couple of years ago, I like sometimes would go to events with some of my friends that I knew that they were like either being paid to be there or like, and I was just like, damn, this is like not that fun. But
Really? I'm like, honestly, for me, like events are.
there's so many more content creators now though than there
Totally.
used to be. So
Yeah.
I think that it's like, I think that they're happy to get their impressions and there's not like as many deliverables as there might have used to have been.
Yeah. I feel like events now are less like people aren't really getting paid most of the time. And it's more just about connecting with, you know,
Others.
I think like for me, I see it as like networking with other creators and then like meeting the brand in person is like my main priority and like getting the FaceTime and like establishing a connection with them.
Getting those brand deals.
Get the brand deals. Yeah.
Get the bag, baby. That's what it's all about. You know, it's like it's so fun to watch how this like whole industry has kind of evolved and like
it's crazy.
it went from a place of like influencers being ick to now influencers completely running the world. And I'm here for it. I mean, there's nothing from an influencer that I don't buy. So
Honestly, like I used to look at magazines for things I want to buy, and now I'm like, it's all Instagram or influencers.
No, it's true.
Yeah.
It's true, 100%. So now being in this stage of your life, you're here in the city, you've met the love of your life. What does confidence mean to you?
That's such a good question. And I feel like, honestly, confidence is such a mindset. Like, I think that's a good way to start. If you feel like you don't have confidence, truly fake it until you make it. Because then you will start to believe it. But at first, you just have to change your mindset. Like, you can choose to like stick in that, like, oh my God, I hate this about myself. I hate this. I'm never going to do this, blah, blah, blah. Or you can choose to be like, no, like, I'm a bad bitch. And like, I'm not going to have that negative self-talk anymore. And like your life will follow suit with that. And I really believe that. And hopefully after some time, it'll just kind of become this like innate feeling within you. And I think you also have to always continue to put yourself out of your comfort zone, because that is how you build confidence as well, is putting yourself out of your comfort zone and proving to yourself that you can do something or wear something. Like, so many women come to me that, oh my gosh, I could never wear a mini skirt like my thighs. I'm like, why not? Like, who cares? You are the only one that cares. If you put on a mini skirt and you have cellulite on your thighs and whatever, and you walk down the street like you're that bitch, people will think that. They're not going to think, oh my God, like she's wearing that. Like, like you just have to choose to be confident and stop feeding into this that
narrative,
that narrative that you've created for yourself that you're not enough.
I'm gonna play that every day. I am a bad bitch.
Yes.
You are a bad bitch. No, it's
Literally.
true.
Yeah.
But it's like, where'd you get that? Where'd you get that sauce?
Oh my
like,
God.
where can we bottle that up and buy it? You
Honestly,
know?
I know. I wish.
Honestly, you should start making little affirmation tapes that people can play.
Cute. That would be
That
cute.
would be really cute, actually.
Yeah.
Like, do you have the Superhuman app? Have you ever used the
No,
Superhuman
I don't
app?
know what that is.
So Superhuman app is it's an app made by Mimi Bouchard, and it's walking activation. So it's like a walking meditation. And it's basically like affirmations, and she has all different kinds. But like hers are very, you know,
like calm.
yeah,
and like,
I need someone to be like, you're a bad fucking bitch. You can do this. You're actually really smart. You can't add, but you're smart as fuck.
Yeah.
And you do have something to say. And people do want to hear what you want to, you know, like, I need someone to talk to me like that. Like, I don't want someone telling me to trust that the universe has everything coming in its divine time.
Yeah.
Like, you should do that.
Honestly, maybe I should.
You really
That's
should.
a good idea. That's a good business idea.
It is
but I need to do the artist way and like flush it out. There we go.
Correct. But it's like, it's true. Like, I mean, I wish so many times in my life that I like had a voice in my head. Cause like, yeah, negative self-talk is real. Like for me, especially. And I get in my own way all the time. I push through, like I've never let myself get in the way of myself, but there's still always this doubt. And I always feel like I'm like doing the most things and I'm not the best at anything. But then I'm like, okay, you got to take that like a step back and realize that, you know what, you're taking the first step, which is like doing the thing and putting yourself out there.
Which is so much more than other people can say as well.
But it's also the thing that has made me confident, you know, is doing these things and putting myself out there. And it's like, the more I talk about these crazy lofty ideas that I have, or even my insecurities, like the better that I feel about them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So if like, and I don't know, I guess that's another thing. Ooh, self-deprecation. Ooh, do you ever fall into that? Like,
oh my God, please. I love self-deprecating humor. I love it so much. I'm like,
but not even humor. Like, I just used to, I really try not to do it anymore, but I used to like always be like, yeah, well, I'm stupid. So,
oh yeah.
You know, or like, well, you know, like I'm chubby. I have a big butt, like things like that. And like, but why? Like I spent so much of my life like doing those things, putting myself down so that I could feel more confident in a way.
I joke with my other friends who are, curvy, and it's like, oh, we're funny because we grew up like as the big girl. And I think it is just like maybe like a coping mechanism or a way to like, it's like, oh, but if everyone's thinking this, but like I say it, I make it funny. Like you're kind of owning it in a way a little bit too. So I do think though, you really have to be careful. Like if you want to be your most confident self, the self-deprecating talk really like your words have power, your thoughts have power, and you really do need to like get a handle on that and like cut it.
Yeah.
If you want to really feel like your best self.
Your baddest bitch self.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is kind of like along that similar vein, but I would be interested to know like what advice would you give someone who is still working on building confidence and learning to love their body?
I mean, it's a journey. Like it's never going to be like, oh, done. I'm
Today,
confident.
I feel
I love
great.
my body. Because like as women, we're always in different phases of life. We're always, growing, changing, and that's never going to end. It's like, okay, yeah, maybe you like you've learned to like your thighs, but then, oh my God, like I'm getting older, like my wrinkles, like blah, blah, blah. Like there's always going to be something. You're never going to get to a destination, but like life is way too short to like waste your time and your energy worrying about what you look like in a swimsuit or what you look like in a mini skirt. Like
Amen.
If you are letting your body stop you from living your life, like that is the saddest thing. And I think you just have to be able to get to a place where you don't need to love your body every single day. Like I think that's unrealistic as well. Like you just need to be able to like live your life and not let your body stop you from doing what you want to do or your feelings around not being enough.
Period. End of story. I mean, thank you. I needed to hear that.
Oh my God, of course.
I needed to hear that. Well, my last and final question. If you can choose one word for your character to be remembered by, what would it be?
I guess I'm going to say seen. I feel like I have a good way of making women feel seen. I just want people to be able to leave any interaction with me and feel better about themselves, feel more confident, and really feel like seen and heard. Yeah, that really comes from just like being open and being like authentic.
Yeah. And I see that and I get that. And I think that you do make so many people feel seen, and your content is important. It really is. I don't think that we see enough of that online, and you're just real and you're gorgeous and you're unapologetic and you're all the things that I wish that I could have seen when I was growing up. And even still to this day, I'm always like, there's so much representation out there, but I don't see anyone that looks exactly like me, right? Like I don't see any short girls. The short girls get no love. We get no love. We don't get to model. We don't get to do any of these things, I'm like, we need some love for the short, curvy girls.
The short curve. Honestly, you know what's funny though? I actually was at a few events this week with some like big names in like the curve space. And I was like, oh my God, these girls are short. I mean, I guess.
Great. Maybe I should gain a little weight.
But I say 5'7". I'm like, wait,
God,
how
girl,
tall are you?
I'm 5'2".
Okay, wait, sorry. I'm like literally, I'm 5'11". So anyone who's under 5'10", I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys are tiny.
It is like my dream to walk a runway.
Oh my God.
Dream.
You totally could. You totally could.
At 5'2", I don't know.
I mean, it's only until someone does it that's true.
Kim Shui actually she hires short models because she's 5'2". So she had like 3 girls walk the runway that were like
amazing.
I don't know if they were 5'2", but they were short.
Yeah.
And I reached out to her and I was like, you have no idea what it meant to me to like see somebody that finally for the first time looked like me walking down the runway.
Yeah,
she was like, well, I'm 5'2". She's like, of course I have short models. It's like half the world, nobody looks like the girls on the runway. And that's like the thing that thank God we're finally coming to our senses in that way. And we are getting more representation, but like nobody really looks like the girl with the, absolutely perfect body with no legs, no thighs touching, thigh gap, all the things. Like it's this much of the population that looks like that in those clothes. So it's like, amen. And thank God that we're like all finally getting to see things like that.
Thank God.
Well, what are we looking forward to?
I really feel like I'm at a place where like some things are like shifting, some things are like brewing, and I need to like figure out what that is, and what's going to be next. And yeah, I've just been really enjoying like being in a new relationship after being single for 5 years. And I just moved to New York, like, has even been 2 years. So I'm just looking forward to like being in New York and really embracing almost like a calmness that I haven't in a long time. I was like so crazy busy, like traveling every single month. I went on like 14 trips last year, like multiple. It was just
brand trips or mostly
everything,
for fun?
Everything. I was just traveling so much, and so now I'm just kind of in this phase where I'm like just looking forward to like being a little bit more calm and figuring out like what's next. So.
I love that. And where can everybody listen to your podcast and on what days?
We release our episodes every Tuesday, and it's called the Confident Collective Podcast, and it's Confident Collective on Instagram as well.
And where can everybody find you if they're not already following, which I'm sure they are?
Oh my gosh. It's just Raeann Langas on everything.
TikTok, Instagram. She's doing all the things. The content is absolutely fire and good for the soul. Thank you so much for coming on and for chatting with me. And like I said, I just adore you. And your energy is infectious and it's all the things that we need. And I love when I get to run into you randomly and you just like, you give the best vibes. So
oh my gosh.
Keep doing what you're doing.
Same to you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Bye.